Hi everyone, it's Gail Dudley, and I am here to talk a little bit about unforgiveness. I know it's not something we like to talk about, but I believe it is time to really dig deep, get to the root of it, and talk about it. So earlier today, I was in some prayer time. I was praying for several people who have had some sort of illness, some sort of sickness, some sort of illness, or some sort of disease. And in my prayer time, I was not able to get comfortable. I wasn't able to really pray like I wanted to pray, and I was asking God, what's going on? What is it that he was trying to share with me? What is it that he was trying to speak to me about? And I said, okay, I'm going to stay here just for a few moments to get an understanding of what God is trying to speak to my spirit so that I can share this word with other people. Before I go any further, I know my voice is still a little off. I've been sick for a couple of weeks, but just bear with me. I think the cough is almost gone. But back to unforgiveness. Even with me, with my sickness, I had to ask, where did it come from? Why do I have it? Why is it still lingering? And I wanted to really hear from the Lord. Hi, Del Tiffany's. That's Zelray coming in. So I wanted to leave this word, and I shared this with some intercessors from our church earlier this morning. And I'm going to read what I wrote down. I said to them early this morning that this is a message that I am hesitant to share, but with conviction and being obedient to God's instruction, I had to share it. Just like now, I feel that it wasn't only for their reading and their hearing, but it's also for those of you who will watch this video. Again, I'm talking about unforgiveness. Let's really wrestle with this a little bit, and I want you to do some research on your own as well. And let me start by making this statement. I heard this morning, as I was spending time with God, that most, if not all, of our sickness, our diseases, and our illnesses come from the root of unforgiveness. Yep, I said it's going to be a little difficult today, but that's okay. Most, if not all, of our sicknesses, our diseases, and our illnesses come from the root of unforgiveness. That's the first and what I call the deepest root. That's the root that normally latches on and it holds on pretty tight. I've given this example before in some teaching and some sermons that I do, but in our front yard at my home, and I've been living here now going on 13 years, we have a bed of weeds that no matter who comes and works on it, whatever happens, these weeds just keep popping back up. So one time when some volunteers came to go through the beds and to really figure out what was going on, I noticed a young man with a shovel, like really stepping on the shovel, trying to dig deep. And the more he kept moving the dirt from around whatever he was after, he pulled out a boulder. I mean, it wasn't just a rock, it was a boulder. And with this boulder, wrapped around it were the roots. There were multiple, and they were thick roots, and they were strong, and they were circling around and knotted up all around this huge boulder. And I started thinking about getting to the root of the issues of things that we have. And I said, that's what's happening. It's so tight and it's wrapped up all around us. To some degree, some of us are unable to breathe. We're unable to do anything because these wounds, these past rejections, these things keep cropping up. And what they're doing is that they're attaching themselves to us, is taking root, and they're making us sick. Research that for yourself, because I've been digging, looking at this all day today, and I'm seeing the connection of what unforgiveness will do to you and to me. It can take us out of here. It can become those stomach ulcers. It becomes those headaches, those migraines. It could become those things that are in the pit of our stomach, and we're wondering what's off, and it's that we have not dealt with some things, and these things tend to make us sick. So Secondly, it also comes from the avoidance of dealing with past wounds and rejections. Once we kind of put a Band-Aid over it and we want to go on about our business, we think we're done with it, but we're not, because things will keep cropping up that takes us back to that place of wound, that place of rejection, that place of pain. What we do, we find a way to laugh it off, to avoid it, not to deal with it. And what's happening, it just keeps building and building and building. And again, that's what takes that root, that weed, to become thicker and to wrap itself around our heart, our arteries. You know, we think about the blockage. We think about the blood flow. We think about things like that, and we kind of push it aside. We're wondering, okay, where's inflammation coming from? All right, it's a disease, and it deals with where we're not taking care of ourselves. You know, let's talk about sleep. Some of us don't even sleep. We're not sleeping because of other stuff that's going on with us. And because we're not sleeping, we end up sick because now we don't have the stamina, or we don't have the fight to ward off other sicknesses and disease. I really am saying something here, and I don't want you just to brush me off. I want you to think about the things that I'm saying, because I'll be honest with you, when God started revealing things to me this morning, I was sitting there saying, okay, I'm going to sound real crazy, Jesus, if I go and share this message. But I knew I had to be obedient. And believe it or not, from just those few short people that I shared it with at 8:30 this morning, the text messages that I am receiving, I even had some young lady say she went to the chapel of her job to pray, and she was asking for forgiveness for the things, and she wanted those doors to be closed because she started thinking about it. I started thinking about my own sickness and the things that I'm dealing with. I'm like, why do I still have this cold when normally I can fight a cold off in 24 hours? Well, I start thinking about, what am I stressing about? What am I worried about? What's going on with me? Where are areas that I need to change even within myself? And I had to tell myself to stop avoiding things and deal with these things head on. And it does make a difference. Even today, I dealt with something head on. Just dealt with it. It's like an entire weight got lifted off my shoulders because I decided to stop avoiding it and deal with it. Now, I haven't coughed all day today. Does it have anything to do with that? I have no idea. None. But this is the first day that I have not coughed. And I stopped coughing after I dealt with that particular issue earlier today. I don't know the connection. When we have pushed these situations, these past hurt, pains, confrontations, we push them down or cover them up without really dealing with them honestly, this takes us right back to unforgiveness. We're not even offering forgiveness. We just made the decision we're not going to deal with that. That's not healthy. Thirdly, sickness, disease, and illnesses come from not releasing our guilt and our shame. Yeah, I'm going there today. I am going there today because it is time for us as a people of God to be well. It's time for us to take God at His word and live our lives out accordingly to what and how He has called us to live. The word says to live your life worthy of the calling. The question that I have for you today: are you living your life worthy of the calling that God has given to you today? Which means each day we got to wake up making that decision that today I'm going to live my life worthy of the calling of Jesus Christ and what He has called me to do. So we allow past incidents, whether they are intentional or not, to beat us up daily. Here we go, when we do not forgive ourselves, which means not only do we have to offer forgiveness to other people, we also have to forgive ourselves. We have to get from up under this guilt and shame that we're dealing with day in and day out. I believe we're going to start being healthy people when we start focusing on, I want to live and not die. I want to take care of and deal with the issues that are going on in my life. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to suffocate myself. I don't want to choke myself. And I do not want to die spiritually because of stuff that I'm either avoiding, not dealing with, or the past wounds and pains and rejections and the guilt and the shame that I continue to allow to heap coals upon my own head. That's not the way we should live, and that's not the way that I believe that Jesus calls us to live. How can we help someone else if we have not taken the time to deal with our own stuff? Finally, sickness, illnesses, diseases come from the deepest root of unforgiveness. I think I've beat that enough in these few moments that I've been sharing. And it is time that we get to the root of it and be well. So I want to leave you with 3 questions. Number 1, what are you going to do to be well? That's number 1. What are you going to do to be well? Number 2, who do you need to forgive? Make a list. Make a list. Do you need to call them up? Not necessarily. Just take your time and go through your prayer time and lift their name before the Lord and say, God, I forgive them. There's nothing wrong with asking for forgiveness. It is time that we forgive whoever it may be that has caused us pain for far too long. Even if we think it's no longer at the top, it may be something deep down. Start peeling back those layers and deal with that unforgiveness. I believe we can be made well if we deal with the unforgiveness. And question number 3, how am I going to live my life going forward that when guilt or shame comes my way, or someone has wounded me, or they have rejected me, how am I going to live my life going forward so that I am not continuing to hold on to that particular incident beyond 24 hours? Seriously, people, it is time to be well. It is time to live our life worthy of the calling of Jesus Christ. All of this has to do with prayer. We must first go to God and say, God, help me. I truly want to see all of us well. All of us well. I want to see all of us well. So let's pray today for forgiveness, including forgiving ourselves. I am here to answer any questions. You may not want me to answer them here on live, but if you have anything you have a question for, email me at info.gaildudley@gmail.com. Again, that is info.gaildudley. That's GAILDUDLEY@gmail.com. Beginning October the 1st, we're going to be doing this urgent plea for prayer with millennials, females. And I'm even going to go into college, 17, 18-year-old girls, all the way up for women and girls, so millennial girls. We're going to do urgent plea for prayer. We're going to deal with things like unforgiveness. It is a 15-minute a day devotional that you will read from an ebook that I'm sending out to everyone who has requested it. We do need help. There are some students in college that are saying, I know it's an ebook. I know it's only $4.99. However, I don't even have that because my food card is already maxed out at my college. So I'm doing my best. And I need partners to come alongside of me to help me get this ebook to all of the millennials that want to be a part of it. We have millennials asking about it from around the world. So I want to make sure I get this ebook to everybody who asks for it. It's $4.99. If you want to sow a seed to bless a millennial, just go to my website, gaildudley.com, click on the bookstore, and it's the first thing you will see. We're starting that on October the 1st. It's going to be 31 days. We're going to deal with unforgiveness. We're going to deal with guilt and shame. We're going to deal with feelings of insignificance. We're going to deal with relationships. We're going to deal with children. We're going to deal with our job. We're going to deal with darkness. We're going to deal with isolation. We're going to deal with health issues. We're going to deal with our mindsets. We have so much we need to deal with. And yes, we're going to deal with sex and sexual relationships. There is an urgent plea for prayer, and people are hungry, people are sick, and people are dying. And I want to be able to give this resource to the hands of all of those millennial females that need it. So I hope you will join me. You can check that out on my website, www.gaildudley.com, and that's GAILDUDLEY. Thank you for letting me pop in today to talk a little bit about unforgiveness. I cannot get that prayer time out of my head from spending time with God this morning. That unforgiveness, when we talk about our sicknesses, our disease, our illnesses, that is tied some way, shape, or form to some unforgiveness. And unforgiveness, I'm sorry, I need to be honest, it's killing us. It is absolutely killing us. And I want all of God's children to be well. You have a great rest of the day. Have a fabulous week. Again, let me know if you have any questions. That's info.gaildudley@gmail.com. Peace out.